The Christian Science Monitor has a story out. And I want to read you some of this to set the stage. The headline here is Democrats Woke a Sleeping Giant. Why Parents Say They've Had Enough. Jennifer Reisman has always been a proud Democrat, a single mother who lives in one of the nation's bluest counties. She says some of her favorite items of clothing include T-shirts from both Hillary Rodham Clinton's and Senator Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaigns. But as America enters its third year of the COVID-19 pandemic, Ms. Reisman is actively organizing to vote her local and state Democratic leaders out of office. I can't look my kids in the eye and say I care about your education and vote for the Democrats right now, says Ms. Reisman, a pediatric neuropsychologist from Rockville, Maryland. I cannot believe that this is where we are, but it feels personal. It feels painful. In 2020, Democrats won the White House and Senate in part by pitching themselves as the party that would take the pandemic seriously and get it under control. More than 90% of Democratic voters thought precautions like avoiding group gatherings and closing in-person schooling were necessary in the early months of the pandemic. In crucial swing states, a majority of voters said in exit polling that containing the virus was more important than rebuilding the economy. But a little over a year later, America's in a different place. Vaccines are widely available. Numerous studies have confirmed the virus poses little risk to children, and public health officials have characterized Omicron as less virulent than previous variants. And a growing number of Democratic voters like Ms. Reisman are voicing frustration over the mounting toll of pandemic protocols, particularly those affecting kids and their education. You did not have to be a rocket scientist to know this was going to happen. I have said repeatedly, I couldn't believe how bad the Democrats are at politics right now. And they are. It's been obvious for a while. All you have to do is talk to the parents. One of the problems the Democrats have right now is a lot of their public policy is being led by people who don't have kids. That's a statement of fact. It isn't meant to disparage. Some people get offended by that, but it's kind of true. And those who do have kids who are helping set public policy tend to be from wealthy families whose money has insulated the kids from the effects of the public school system shutting down. They are out of touch with a lot of Americans, and not just in what they would call flyover country, not just in the heartland, but in places like Maryland. Maryland, a Democratic state, a very progressive state. Parents are thinking just for 2 years, we got to suck it up. Just 2 years, we got to suck it up and vote Republican. And by the way, the Republicans are using that argument, saying, look, I know you don't like us, but just give us 2 years. We'll sort this stuff out. See if you like us. You can throw us out in 2 years. I promise we won't make it worse. And it's a compelling message for a lot of parents out there right now who are furious about what's going on. Now, for a lot of you, I know where my stations are and where my listeners come from. And a great many of you are insulated from what's happening out there. I want to play you this audio. This is an assistant principal in a Loudoun County school. Loudoun County is in Northern Virginia. In Northern Virginia, they swung pretty hard for Glenn Youngkin, the parents did up there, because of what's happening in schools. And Glenn Youngkin came in and said, stop shutting down the schools, stop going remote, and stop making kids wear masks. This is an assistant principal in Loudoun County.
Until you arrive, your children will be held in an in-school restriction situation here at school. It is important that I point out to you, it's stated in the letter that you'll receive, but it's important that I point out to you that they are not allowed on campus or on Loudoun County Public School property. Starting tomorrow, it will be considered trespassing. So it's important that I make that statement to you. But we'll look forward to hearing from you via phone so you can let us know when you'll be able to pick them up.
How long can they be suspended for?
The guidelines that we're receiving from the county is student suspensions will end as soon as they are fully following mitigation policies.
You got that? If the kid shows up at school, they'll be charged with trespassing. There's no mask on. The governor issued an executive order saying no more mask mandates for schools. And they are literally going to charge the kids with trespassing for showing up at school without a mask on. What is bizarre to me is for years, pediatricians and psychiatrists, childhood psychiatrists and psychologists said children need to see facial expressions. They need you in their faces. They need you smiling and happy, and they'll be happy. And then when all this stuff came out and mask mandates became controversial, the American Pediatric Association memory hold all that data. Nope, we never said that. And now suddenly it's coming back out. Suddenly it's coming out, and suddenly we're finding that young kids in particular have relational problems with people because of masks. They're having a hard time reading facial expressions. You can learn a lot from someone's facial expression. I like to watch stand-up comedians, particularly Dave Chappelle, who I really do believe is the best out there. You can listen sometimes to the jokes of people, and you can't tell what the punchline is unless you can see their facial expression. And we got a bunch of kids out there who don't understand and can't read facial expressions right now, and the parents are starting to understand it. They're starting to see the effects at home of the isolation, of the masks, of everything else, of the stupidity of some of the policies. Where in schools up north, it's 20 degrees, 10 degrees, it's snowing, and they have the windows open or making the kids eat lunch outside. The absurdity of it all. The Democrats have made a lot of their base mad. They don't get it. And part of this is the Democrats thought they had suburbia locked up because of Donald Trump. So as an aside here, as a tangent, the Democrats look like they have now, in all the partisan redistricting out there, that they've done better than the Republicans, and they may actually have a 5-seat edge now in redistricting. They've been so aggressive in Democrat-controlled states getting rid of Republicans. Republicans, meanwhile, have been more conservative in their estimates. The reason is because the conservatives think, we still want to be in control in 10 years. We don't want the population shifts that are happening in our states to throw us off so that in 6 years, suddenly all of our Republican seats become Democrat. We want to make sure that our seats in the worst case scenarios in 10 years will still be in our control. The Democrats are so aggressive, and the problem is they're using data to determine the partisan makeup of these districts based on Trump's existence. And a D+2 district may actually be an R+5 district with Donald Trump out of the picture, and they haven't paid attention to that. So they're drawing these narrow Democratic wins where in a wave year, they're going to get wiped out anyway. And part of it is they thought that they now control the suburbs. But they were just renting the suburbs. They don't own the suburbs. The suburbs have always been Republican until Trump. I know a lot of you love Donald Trump, and a lot of you live in areas where you don't have suburbs, and you need to understand that suburban Republicans care about their kids and their 401ks. And they arguably care about their 401ks more than their kids. And they felt like Donald Trump was disrupting their 401ks, and Joe Biden would be more stable for their 401k, so they went with him. Not only are they doing worse under Joe Biden than Donald Trump with their 401ks, their kids at school are suffering. Not only that, there's crime. Crime has made it to suburbia, a spillover effect from urban areas. They're upset. Everything's gotten worse for them under the Democrats. Joe Biden told him, if you vote for me, I'll bring normalcy back. If you vote for me, I won't make you embarrassed on social media. If you vote for me, you won't have to worry about things. We may disagree, but I'll be your president. Joe Biden came in. The wokes took him over, held him hostage. He gets lost on the White House lawn, doesn't know where he's going. People are furious. Parents are mad. The Democrats poked the bear. They woke it up. The mixed metaphor here, poking the bear and the sleeping giant. Oh, man, they woke up a giant bear called parents. The parents are livid. And the parents are going to go vote against their political party, the Democrats, put Republicans in charge and say, hey, just 2 years. I can suck it up for 2 years with these people because everything the Democrats touch right now makes it worse for my 401k, worse for crime, worse for my kids. It was foreseeable. It was easily foreseeable. It really was. And yet the Democrats couldn't see it coming because so many of them are either without children or wealthy enough to insulate themselves from the effects of what's going on in society around them. And the media is very much like that and in the same bubble and didn't realize until it was too late. And they're going to have hell to pay because of it come November, no matter what they do with redistricting.